This is going to be a panel here. And the blue bean bags is what's going to be our seats. Alexander, join us, because you and the panel without you is gonna be sad and lonely. It just cannot happen. No green bean bag for you. We need a green one. Watch out! There's this feces, I'd say. Okay. Valentina, we need a woman. Because it's just us men. Okay, guys, take your seats. Would you like to be amused now? I need some encouragement here. Remember? Okay, give me what you got. So, 20 minutes. 4 charming speakers. This is going to be an impromptu discussion. As you know, there's tons of startups you can work with. Can you hear the chicken in the background? Every time I say something spot on, there's that sound. So, a digital company, a product company, a IT company, and what is the difference between all of those and a service company? So now, very briefly about how you got here. I mean, from an LSP, a translation company. Who of you translates? Arina, do you translate or interpret? Who else? Okay. And who is a product company designing software for the linguists? 1, 2. Sort of, yeah, okay, 2. Feel the difference? I mean, give me some encouragement if it's interesting. So, Yosa, 3 seconds, your journey from Promova to a digital company. Just your journey. You mean, okay, when translations started giving me less money, I knew I had to move somewhere else, and this is where I got to. Could you be a little bit more specific? So you were at Promova? Yeah, way back. And then I had my own translation company back in Kharkiv. Then I went to Israel, downshifted to a freelancer and then back when the times changed. So here I am, a staff employee of a large international IT company, which is Wix.com website building platform, and you work as a language UX localization lead. So you are a localization specialist. Yes, I am head of my department. What's the Ukrainian for that? Yes, localization specialist. Hi. Hello. Long time no see. Yeah, my name is Valia Kozlova. I started out as an interpreter way back. Then I happily worked at Intaxt at the quality assurance. Up to the quality assurance leader. Then I created Correctarium, a solution benefiting the industry still to this day, and it's alive and performing. And now I work at Localize. It's a web platform for the owners of the websites and software products to be able to easily translate them into different languages. So I am a product manager who helps decide how to make the product better. Okay, proud of you, Volodymyr. Yes, my name is Volodymyr. Currently, I am the CEO of Protimus, but before I came to work at the IT, in the IT field, I worked at a translation company, and I needed some kind of software to manage my business. We designed it in-house, then we started selling it, and that is how we evolved into Protemus. So from an LSP to an IT company, developing software to help LSPs automate their processes. Yes, exactly, Alexander. I know that your situation is not identical, but very much similar. Just do you have have you hit the million yet? Yes, and this is how we also evolved from a product company to an outsourcing one, because that is just an easier way to enter and make money. Could you translate that into a language we would understand? Sure, a product company is a company that develops and sells the product, and if it hits the top 10, or if it hits the bullseye, rather, everyone's happy. If you're in that top 10, if you're in the top 5, you can make more money in IT. I mean, that product that was not a 10, and we figured that outsourcing would be better. So just to put it in a bit more simple way, you are like an LSP, but for the IT folks. Yes, exactly. So you own 2 businesses, and you have a share in Technolex, Volodymyr, right? Yes, I am a majority shareholder. Wow, didn't know that. And what's the difference? I mean, just the way you see it between the product company and, say, a service company. Because as far as I understand, Technolex is not just about translation. Sure, translation is essential. It is the core. And there's just a couple percent of something else. So Stas, looking at his phone now, he's doing translation, DTP. They draw chickens. What about websites? Do you have them? Do you do dubbing, subtitling, right? So plenty of other services. A company that does services, it does not necessarily have to be a translation company exclusively. I mean, it can even be related to software design. But if you are a product company, how do you work out this structure? I mean, the departments and all. I think Alexander explained it all, but I don't think I got much to add. But the point is that when you are an outsourcing company, you have this rapid turnover of cash, I mean. So your client comes and pays, you pay your contractors, everyone's happy. If you are a product company, you can go for years without making anything, like you. In a way, yeah. For example, I mean, if you have this idea that someday this will all bring you the results. And that is why product companies look for investors, just like I did, because, what I had was not enough. An outsourcing company. Did you mean pros, by the way? Yes. And an outsourcing company never has problems like that. I mean, they do have this certain transaction cycle if you are an LSP, and the payment could take a few months, but still, it's not years. This is, I guess, the main difference between the 2 models. It's not this product. It's not so much a lottery, but I mean, you just keep betting on the same number. And with outsourcing, you will get something. It's a 100% guarantee. Yes, it's like the winner takes it all. I mean, if it's a first, a second runner-up, you'll get something, but outside of that, I mean, the first to 20 is not as fun, right? The first 20, yes. Okay, so Valia, you are in top 10, right?
Are you top 1 in your area or top 3? Do you want to be? So your companies are successful. So how do you work? what do you see in comparison with service providers, with LSPs, as people who work inside for high salaries, right? Yes, yes, in some way, yes. For example, I see similarities between IT companies, I mean developers of a product, and outsourcing companies. So we are talking about internal composition. Outsourcing companies work with clients. As for IT companies, every department, every development department is kind of a client for other departments. So when the product goes through the stages of development, when it comes to the end user, it looks like what is happening in the outsource companies when the client has an idea and it gives it to the outsource works with vendors, and then this idea comes back to the client. The same happens with the product. Somebody develops a product, then somebody localizes this product, then somebody is testing it, and then it comes back to the end user. So there are some models. And okay, when there is negotiations between outsourcing company and the client about the rates, about the deadlines, something similar happens inside a big company. For example, if there are products which need to be localized, there is some kind of negotiation. When we can set it as a priority, how long will it take? How much money it will take? So the model is similar, but it is easier to negotiate, to find a common ground. Because, for example, if the client of an outsourcing company doesn't negotiate good rates, they just can choose another company. But inside a big company, you need to negotiate somehow. So you work in an office, it's difficult to leave this office because you are not on the free market. So what is different? Well, for me, this is about stability. Okay, Vale, so what it is for you? What's the difference? I can create something which you can touch. You can see the results. So it's not the email which you send somewhere, which has been translated, but you see a product which works, a product that a lot of clients use, and it's useful. It is excellent to do something and to see the end result. It gives the opportunity to have an impact on the end result, not because you think that this feature will be excellent, but because you have carried out a research, you understood that this is exactly what needs to be done. You do this, it works, and then you make conclusions, you build something else, you develop something else. So this is what I like most. But I would also like to explain the difference between the product companies. There are two types of these companies, stakeholders in these companies, the good ones or the bad ones. In the bad ones, there is a product team, the CEO, or an important client. They say what needs to be done. And then the developers and designers are told, you need to do this or that. They do that, but their work is not different from developers or designers at an outsourcing company. They have a task, they do it, and they forget about it. But there are good product companies where stakeholders or clients, a client of the product or client like sales, marketing or CEO or advertising department, they say, we have a problem, we have an issue that we need to solve. And the team, together with the product manager, developers, designer, get together and think how to solve this issue in a proper way. So they are not told, do this button, add this button, but they have a task. So you are talking about delegating the problem, not a task. It seems to me that this is a sign of any good company, right? So this is a question of culture. Culture inside a product company is not different because it's another type of company, but because it is a good company. It wins because it's a good one. Okay, these were basic questions, and the last one. If you started at zero, if you had a choice whether to build an LSP or a product company, to run these risks and start from scratch, or to work as a part of a product company. The culture is somewhat similar, the conditions are similar. So is there any difference for you, and which company would you choose? Excellent question, thank you. As I've already told you, that second IT company had the experience of developing their own product. The problem was when a product company are created from scratch, maybe they better understand what are the differences between a product company and a not-product company. When a non-product company becomes a product and wants to develop a product, they often make mistakes, stupid mistakes, I would say. So right now, I would probably try to start a product company, to join a product company, but to do it differently. So, for example, you created an LSP like a training ground, and product company is a real one. Well, the question is about motivation. Why would I do that? From the point of view of risk management to guarantee an income, of course, an outsourcing company. Okay, so why don't you found an LSP in Ukraine? Yes, I'm talking about my own experience. But later, just as Valentina says, you get bored and you want to do something interesting, to do something exciting, to do something you can be proud of, personally for yourself. Motivation for me to work at a product company was to be inspired. It was about motivation, because an outsourcing company is stable, it brings you stable income, you can feed your family, you can feed yourself, and you can experiment. You can do whatever you want, you can do something which interests you. And if you fail, then you fail, that's okay. But in any case, you feel some kind of an emotional satisfaction that you are doing that you would like to improve what you do, and money becomes less important. If you have money, that's okay. If you don't have money, if you don't get money, then okay, at least you've tried. But what if you want to make your product company to be top one, or at least in the top three? Founding a company, Protonos, was a risk. 5 years ago, we attended different conferences and we were told, so you are going to start a company to be competitors to Plunet and other companies. Don't even try to do that. Don't you even dare. And now we have the experience of clients of those companies switching to us. So just to sum up, if you have the money on your bank account, and if tomorrow you won't be broke, you can found a product company. And if you have nothing to eat, then you can continue using venture model, and you wouldn't actually risk to do that. Vlad, also, what would you like to do if you didn't have your jobs? Would you join a product company or a service company? I would rather join, you mean a full-time job? So you now work at a company, you represent people who make part of a team. So you know both sides. What would you choose? Of course, I really like working in a product company. Maybe I'm a newcomer, but I still really like working in this field. Both product companies and service providers have something good. The most important is serving people, like helping people, helping the world. You can do the same. Correctarium, my company, it helps Ukrainian clients and Ukrainian language. It helps develop Ukrainian language. So it's also a product. And there are things like that in both of these types of companies. So it doesn't actually matter whether it's a service provider or a product company. There are bad products. There are, for example, products, gambling apps, or products who create something stupid. And there are other service businesses which are really exciting. So for you, there's no difference. This is more about value, which is brought by this company. So, Joseph, what about you? If you had to choose now, would you choose would you choose a product company or a service provider? What do you mean? So the same question, Joe. Just imagine you have two opportunities. I would put it this way. I don't regret the experience which I have had in a service provider or which I had as a freelancer. I have no regrets at all. I cannot suppose how my life would turn if 22 years ago I would start working at a product company. I don't know. The experience and the knowledge that I got working as a freelancer, they absolutely help. And I really feel comfortable working in this company. I see that I am needed and I'm excited to do what I do. So I would put it this way. I would like to make this transition maybe 7 years earlier. So 7 years ago, I had enough skills, experience, and knowledge. And I've already got a little bit bored in outsourced services. That is why I would be ready to make this transition. So I feel that you still have no regrets. No regrets at all. And now let's proceed to questions from the audience. Do you have any questions about product companies? Okay, so while you are thinking about your questions, I will ask my last question. If there are questions from the audience, we will ask them, and if we feel that we are done, we are done. It seems that you are a little bit tired. So, what people are needed by product companies? What, can you describe a profile of a specialists who are needed within product companies? It seems to me that in Ukraine there are lots of product companies such as Smartlink, Grammarly, Playrix. There are lots of such companies. They help Ukrainian economy, and so product companies also help Ukrainian economy. Not only outsourced companies do that. So what skills are needed? Okay, let's give the word to our business representatives. The question is quite a broad one. Talking about CEOs of product companies, it shall be a person who has a really broad IoT, who is a master of all trades, because not all specialists can sell their skills or promote their product. So it should be a person who on one side knows well the IT part, the internal part of this business, but on the other side, this person must be able to sell. And for IT specialists, unfortunately, it's quite difficult to combine these two parts. So this is true for IT companies. If you get down several levels, we need people who would be able to negotiate with other people within the company who are able to understand their position. So you are talking in an abstract way. Well, the question was quite general. That is why my answer is also quite abstract. If I take a look at the job listings, for example, at our company, I might be mistaken, but I think that managers are those people that are in high demand, and to hire a person and to teach him or her a set of skills is much easier. But to hire a manager who knows everything at the very beginning, it's the most difficult thing. It seems to me that good managers are a rare find, and it seems to me they are in high demand, even higher than developers or designers. Any other suggestions? I wouldn't like to concrete people or jobs.
Working for a product company, you need to be able to think global, to know what's happening in the world. I mean, not just locally, not just in your area, because it doesn't make sense to promote within one country exclusively. You will not find much money there. You should go global, but to go global, you need to be a citizen of the world. You need to know what's happening, who's who, what's where, to become a Grammarly, a Riddle, what have you. You have to think big. You have to have ambitions instead of focusing exclusively on your village, even if it is the size of a Kiev. Be global, think global. Marry a French guy? Well, if I could just if I could just add, regardless of the specific profession of whom we're hiring, I would say that a lot depends on the personal skills of your employees. I mean, it has to be in their DNA. They need to share your values, your culture, as opposed to being just yes sir robots who don't care about anything outside of their competence, because there are software developers who follow your TS down to the last dot, but they never take any additional steps. Hey guys, the four of you spoke, but I didn't hear, I didn't hear one very important thing. Guess what? The product owner. If you are a service company, who owns the product? There's no product owner, but there's one in a product company. Do you know who that is? Valia? Yes, there are those notions: product manager, product owner, and every company defines that in its own way. Even though there are some basic things, and usually the, it is about comprehensive responsibilities, where marketing, technologies, and business strategies and tools overlap. So this person is responsible for the end result. Well, for a service company, I guess it is also a possibility to have a product owner, because we spoke about in text company here. They have all those different things going on, and it is also a product like DTP, for example, and the person who manages that product should be the product owner. They should have this vision of how to make this product better. Exactly. You need to know what the product should be, what the service should be, how do you sell it, how do you promote it. So it is very much alike. Okay, I'm being told our time is, we're out of time, and just wrapping up. Oh no, we have a question. Okay, go ahead and then I will wrap up. Tanya, apologies. Sorry for breaking the rules. Yeah, it's a break anyway. That is why I will ask this very quick question. I guess it is, first of all, a question for Alexander and Volodymyr, because here we're talking about a service company initially and an IT company with the outsourcing and product management like Alexander's. So Volodymyr spoke about passion and about developing a product company, but is there a team? I mean, there has to be a team in that company when everything starts. And there could be this conflict of interest when you're looking to just take those managers who helped you create this new business and develop it together further. But then this starting business might suffer, that holds that safety net. And this is also a question for Valia in a way, because as far as I understand, Valia is a shareholder at Charactarium still, right? So I'm just wondering how she manages to focus on her new job. What? So how do you focus on this new job without getting stuck in between? Yeah, so like you're doing something new, how do you manage the old one not to fall apart? Well, initially, I mean, from the very beginning, it was two different companies. I never had an intention to take anyone from the old company to the new one because the processes are different, the requirements are different. Plus, if it's a well-performing LSP and there's plenty of work coming their way, I understand that I can ruin it all by just taking someone out. So common sense prevails as opposed to emotion. So you didn't take anyone with you? No, not me. I didn't. What about the man in the green jacket? Yes, thank you very much. Green peace to all. Yeah, B Corp. Sure. Anyway, so the first part of the question, as far as I understand it, the first 2 years, I wasn't sure, going back and forth, the scales would tilt all the time. Because IT is peaking, and given the budgets and the opportunities it opens, it is very difficult to match that in the translation industry. But then 2 years into this process, I can tell you that linguistics is where it all started from, and it's not just about the money, the business. There's more to it. And it gives you flexibility. And if at some point in time you feel that there's just too many staff at your LSP, I mean, you hired too many new people who are not managing well, you can always hire them as testers for the other company, and it could be even easier and better than to train them, keep training them in the LSP stuff. So it could happen. Maybe roughly five people went with me to the new company, but as long as it doesn't harm the LSP. Keep passing that mic. Yeah, I just wanted to add that there are certain exceptions. When you see that this person, this guy or this girl, they are burning out, and there could be a better place for them, then you take them with you. But if it's a well-functioning mechanism, then why ruin it? You guys haven't seen the situations when they just leave, right? A comment from me, because it was the business, the folks first, and now us. I completely agree that people burn out. That's true, that happens. And at that point, unless you take them elsewhere, they will just leave. So if you are launching a new product, and by you, I mean anyone, so maybe it's best if you just give this person whom you know and whom you are comfortable with, just give them the new task. But if you see that this company would just fall apart if you take those 3, 4, or 5 team members out and bring new ones instead, then just give it some more thought to explore those fears in the first place. And then you need to be very clear on your priorities. If we're talking about developing a product as a priority, a new product, then you need someone who you are confident about. And so you can start training someone to replace them in the meantime. Yes, I agree, because there are processes, there is understanding, and it's easier to work with this old staff than just hire new ones. Regarding Charactarium and the stake, I can see that I touched a string there. Yeah, but anyway, Charactarium is a niche business lifestyle and all. It was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years back, and now it's working so well that even if the manager changes, the guidelines are so clear, the SOPs and all, that it just keeps going. I had to hire more people before I left because I still was doing something. I just couldn't do nothing, sit and do nothing. But now I invest my effort into this new line of work. Okay, I can see that Anna left us, so we should probably draw a line somewhere. A product company means playing big time, and you should be able to take the lead, to be a leader, otherwise you will not get anywhere. And if you make a product, you need motivation. You need motivation to launch it. You need to know how to think global. And so, to do more product companies, we need more product owners. I mean, to have more product companies, because product owners, they are like inventors. They don't just manage, because the product needs to be improved all the time with different features. So there's a little bit of IT here as well, so you need to have the skills. And I guess that's just, that was the essential part. And so working for a product company and a service company, it's all fine if the culture is there. If you start from scratch, you need to try and see which works best for you. Like something like that, right? No, you need to keep going. Because the Silicon Valley, those guys have been very aggressive. And so if you want to launch a product company in Ukraine from scratch, or based on something that's already there, using venture money or some other finances, you need some other funding. You need something that would help you get there. So thank you guys for your attention. Hope it was interesting for you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.